Oh my god, this must be different. Would a person... Which way does an apostrophe go? That's what you need for loss control. You need to subjectively lose control. You need a qualifying trigger, which can be fear of serious violence, or circumstances of an extremely grave nature that gave a justifiable sense of being seriously relevant. Go right again.
Loss of control. We got Clinton, and he was in a depressed relationship with his wife. No, they were just both depressed and in a relationship, and they're like, hey, let's separate. And okay. And so the wife took the kids to her parents, and she revealed that she was in an affair the whole time. And the guy's like, yo, wife, let's go talk. And she was like, okay. And so when they went to go talk to each other, he killed her. You can use the defense of loss of control because there were such extraneous circumstances. One. And then another loss of control is Deichmann. And Deichmann was in a relationship with his aunt, and he was in prison, and the aunt died when he was in prison at one point. And so he got out of prison eventually, and like he still has this watch that she gave him, and the watch, like he's at a party and like the watch falls off and he thinks someone steps on it and breaks it, and he like beats them to death, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you for breaking my watch, even though the watch wasn't broken. So they're like, yeah, you did have bad circumstances, but like you were aware that you were gonna kill him, so you can't use loss of control defense. What's another thing? Duress. We got Lynch, and Lynch was in a car, and some dude jumped in his car and pulled a gun on him and was like, yo, drive. And so he drove because, you know, his life was in danger. And so he's driving, and like, other people end up getting in the car, and like eventually he's like, stop. And so they stop the car, and he gets out of the car, and the bad people like kill a police officer. And because Lynch wasn't a part of the killing, he can use the defense of duress. Yes. What's another thing for duress? Well, let's use Hassan. Hassan was associating himself with this one prostitute, and she had quite a few lovers, and he thought he was the only one. So like he saw this other dude hanging out with her, and so he's like, I'm gonna hang out with him because he seems cool. And he was also a criminal. So like the criminal ended up like making Hassan go on a crime thing with him, and Hassan tried to plead duress, and the court was like, no dude, you associated yourself with that one criminal in the first place, you are a criminal anyway. Sucks to suck. What is how? How is a blanket ban on using duress as a defense to murder? Oh, because these dudes, they were made to go kill these people, and because they never went to the police about it, the court was like, yo, we could have helped you, but because you just decided to let it go, you're screwed. Yep. Necessity. These are like doctor cases. Re-A is a case of conjoined twins where necessity can be used as a defense for murder. Re-F was these doctors saying they needed to remove this girl's uterus because she had the brain of a toddler and she was sexually active, and if she got pregnant she would know how to deal with it and it would like kill her. So the court was like, yeah, okay, you need to do that thing. And then another thing for necessity is Gillick, because Gillick was a doctor and he was giving contraceptives to a minor, and the parents were like, dude, why are you doing that? You're encouraging her to have sex. And he's like, she's having sex anyway. And the court was like, yeah, you're right. If you're gonna have sex, might as well have it safe. That's necessity. Gillick, Re-A, Re-F. Duress, Lynch, Howe, Hassan. Loss of control, Clinton, Camplin, Deichmann. Self-defense. What? Self-defense. Oh, I like this one. Self-defense, Williams. Williams was this dude walking down the street, and he saw this old man holding down a boy, and Williams is like, dude, what the f-? And he like runs over and he like punches the old man, and like the kid escapes. But little did he know the old man was holding down a criminal kid who had just stolen something, I think. Oh, he just mugged someone. So the old man was holding down the kid who just mugged someone. But Williams didn't know that. And so he wasn't acting in self-defense, but he was acting in the defense of another person, which is kind of the same thing in English law, which is weird. Because he truly thought like the old man was like hurting this kid. It stands. All that matters is that defendant genuinely believes that there's a threat. Unless you're voluntary intoxicated. In the case of O'Grady, where this drunk guy, O'Grady, thinks his friend's under attack, and his friend indeed was not under attack, but the drunk guy just attacks a random person. Because the drunk person was not sober when trying to see the genuine threat, it could not be perceived as a genuine threat. Fascinating. So what is this again? This is self-defense. Dang. Okay, so self-defense, we got Williams and O'Grady. How many are there? So many. Okay, so like in response to self-defense, you have to use a proportionate use of force in response to the threat. And in the case of Martin, he is this old man who owns a farmhouse, and like he's chilling on his porch, you know, some kids are on his property, and you know, rather than just like shooing them off, he goes and gets his gun and starts shooting at them. So that was not a proportionate use of force in response to these kids just throwing rocks at his house. God. Ought to have been used as a case of diminished responsibility. Oh, because he was oh my god, so he like was actually paranoid, like diagnosed paranoia. He thought he had to keep using force because the kids might turn around and come back at him. Okay, so what am I doing again? Williams, who punches an old man because he thinks he's a threat. We got O'Grady, which is an example of thinking there's a threat, but he's drunk, so it doesn't matter. Martin, who shoots at kids on his property, should have been used as a case of diminished responsibility because he had diagnosed paranoia. Oh, Keen. So for Keen, is a case of turning the tables in self-defense. So like, drunk night out. At the end of the night, he runs into a man that offers him and his friends a ride home. On the way back, the driver pulls into a gas station. Oh no, this is a case of turning the tables not working. I don't know if I have one of them working. So for Keen, they're in the backseat of this dude's car. One girl who's in the backseat starts smoking at this gas station. Keen's like, dude, stop. And she's like, nah, you're an angry drunk man. And he pushes her, driver comes back, shouts at Keen. Keen thinks he's gonna hit him, so he hits him first. He tries to argue he had to punch the driver because he was gonna get hit. Court's like, no dude, you initiated the fight, you can't invite violence and then use violence in return. If you're the aggressor, tough. Okay, so what am I doing against self-defense? We got Martin, the old man on the porch shooting at kids who's paranoid, should have been used as a case, should have been argued as a case of diminished responsibility rather than self-defense. Williams is who punches the old man. Williams punches the old man. And then O'Grady's like, unless you're intoxicated. Let's do intoxication. We got Coley, who was a heavy weed smoker, and he also liked collecting knives. And he collected them and kept them sharp. Why? For fun, I guess. Lives next to a divorcee who was with their partner and 2 teenage daughters. One night, while Coley is watching a film, also weed smoking, he goes to bed. He also goes into his neighbor's house dressed in full black and wielding one of his knives, specifically a hunting knife. He stabs the partner repeatedly and the woman screams. Coley's just standing there in the middle of the house wielding a knife and all bloody, just standing there. He remembers going to bed, does not remember getting up, getting dressed in black, or going over to their house. He admits it must have been him because the evidence, obviously it's him, but he doesn't remember actually doing it. Years of weed, I guess, could result in blackouts. He tries to argue insanity or an autonomous state. Court says, no dude, you did this to yourself because of all that weed smoking. Because he's a casual smoker, this is no different than getting drunk. Okay, that makes sense, kind of. There is evidence that intoxication can cause a plea of insanity where the intoxication causes medical changes, but because he's a casual smoker, this is no different than getting drunk casually. What's the other one? Oh, this is a fun one. So McGee has a ring in his ear, like it's a medical condition, and he can't get to bed because it goes insane. Like he just can't, it's so loud. And so the doctors give him tranquilizers to go to sleep, and he like has to physically knock himself out to go to bed. Like, so some nights he will like down a bottle of vodka and like smashes against the wall just so he could pass out. Can you imagine? On the night in question, he took tranquilizers that the doctors, gave him, but it wasn't enough to get him to bed. So he goes to the booze shop, which I wrote down. He makes polite small talk with the shopkeep, starts eating chocolate right out of the store, and gets aggressive. The shopkeeper just leaves his shop to get out of the dude's way, and another customer breaks up their fight, and McGee blinds the third person, then he leaves. He comes back with his shirt tied around his head like a bandana and wielding a knife. He causes life-threatening wounds to the shopkeep. In the end, he doesn't remember doing any of those things. He tries to argue being an automatic state, and the court says no, because automatism is the wholly involuntary action as opposed to irrational. So therefore, this is an issue of intoxication. Medical experts say medical tranquilizers and alcohol bring to the surface tendencies that he would otherwise repress. Therefore, he intended the action, and there's no defense. The root cause is a serious medical condition, but the intoxication trumps a medical condition. Intoxication. We got Coley, who's the weed smoker who slashes this one person, I guess, I don't know, person. And he doesn't remember doing it. The court's like, sorry dude, because you smoke weed all the time, it's your fault. It's just the same thing as having alcohol casually. And then we got McGee, who, poor guy, he had a ringing in his ear and it was a medical condition, but because he combined it with alcohol, he's guilty and he can't use automatism. As a defense, it's intoxication. What's another intoxication one? Kingston. Oh, I don't like that one. I mean, it's a good one, but so it's this pedophile dude. He's never actually acted on his pedophile tendencies, but someone else finds out about those tendencies, and I forget, something happened between the two of them, and I don't have it written down. So Kingston and the dude had some sort of like business relationship, and the other dude didn't like what Kingston was doing or something, and so he gets Kingston really drunk and puts him in a room with the drunk boy, and Kingston, you know, has things with that little boy, and he goes to court and he's like, he made me drunk, like I would never have done that if I wasn't drunk, and the court's like, a drunk intent is still an intent. You're still guilty, even though you say you wouldn't have done it if you were sober. A drunk intent is still an intent. Kingston. Gross. Lipman. Oh, this is a funny one. So Lipman is a case of intoxication, as all of these 4 cases are. What are the 4 ones that I have to talk about? I talked about Coley, the weed smoker. Kingston. No. Coley, the weed smoker. McGee, poor guy, with the ring in his ear. Kingston, the gross pedophile. And now Lipman. So Lipman and his girlfriend were tripping on LSD in their bed and, like, you know, having fun. So Lipman thinks he's falling through the bed and the devil is throwing health snakes at him. Can you imagine arguing that in court? But so he denies mens rea because he wasn't in his right mind and he didn't want to kill his girlfriend. He just thought his girlfriend was a horde of hell snakes strangling him. So he went to strangle the hell snakes when instead he was stuffing something in the girl's mouth to, like, kill her. I don't know. He ends up killing the girlfriend, and the court says, sure, you were on drugs, you didn't intend to kill her, you're still guilty of manslaughter but not murder. God, love drugs. So I just got back to the apartment and I was like, yay, I'm all done with my final. And like I look at, like, the thing is, like, I was waiting outside for anyone else to leave, but like no one else was leaving the building. And like they said leave after they take your test, and I was like, okay, cool. So like I was like the first one in line. I took my test and I just got up and left, and no one else was leaving. I'm like looking through the window, no one's getting up, and I'm like, oh, whatever. So I just like left, and I just got back to my apartment. So I was going for Anna because she's in that class, and she just texted me and she's like, where did you go? And I was like, I left, like I didn't see where you went. And I just left. And she's like, you were supposed to wait until I got everyone's test. And I was like, oh. Because I thought the paper said to leave after they took your test, not like everyone's test. So I feel really dumb. But she said she doesn't think they noticed me leaving, but I feel really dumb and I hope I'm not in trouble because, oh my god, that would, I just hope I'm not in trouble. But the final went well. I feel good about it, but yeah, I feel really dumb right now for leaving when I wasn't supposed to leave.